Imagine opening an ancient scroll that reveals the future of humanity. The first seal breaks. A rider appears on a white horse, then another, then another. By the time the fourth rider arrives, peace has vanished, nations are at war, food has become scarce, and death follows close behind. For nearly 2,000 years, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse have fascinated believers, historians, and skeptics alike. Some believe they are symbols. Others believe they are future events still waiting to unfold. But what if we've misunderstood them all along? What if the Four Horsemen aren't just a prophecy about the end of the world? What if they've been riding through history from the very beginning? To answer that question, we must travel to a lonely island called Patmos. Near the end of the 1st century, the Apostle John was exiled there because of his faith. During his exile, he received one of the most extraordinary visions recorded in Scripture, the Book of Revelation. John sees heaven itself. At the center stands the throne of God, surrounded by countless angels. In God's hand is a mysterious scroll sealed with 7 seals. It contains the unfolding of God's plan for the world. But there's one problem. No one in heaven or on earth is worthy to open it. John begins to weep. Then, one of the elders speaks. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has overcome. Jesus, described as the slain lamb, steps forward and takes the scroll. As he breaks the first seal, something unexpected appears. A rider on a white horse. The rider carries a bow and wears a crown. Scripture simply says he rides out conquering and to conquer. At first glance, it sounds straightforward. But here's where the mystery begins. The Bible never actually tells us who this rider is. Many people assume he represents military conquest. Others believe he symbolizes a false messiah, someone who imitates Christ before bringing deception to the world. Some of the earliest Christian writers even believed the rider represented Christ himself, spreading the gospel across the nations. 3 completely different interpretations. Yet the text never settles the debate. Perhaps that's intentional, because the identity of the white horse isn't nearly as important as what happens next. As the second seal is opened, another rider emerges. This horse is fiery red. Its rider is given a great sword, and, more importantly, the power to remove peace from the earth. People begin turning against one another. Violence spreads. Wars erupt. What's fascinating is that throughout history, civilizations often follow the same pattern. First comes conquest, then conflict. The Roman Empire expanded through conquest before descending into civil wars. Countless kingdoms throughout history have followed similar paths. Was John describing a future prophecy, or recognizing a pattern woven into human history? Before that question can be answered, the third seal is broken. A black horse appears. Its rider carries a pair of scales. Then a voice announces something strange. A quart of wheat for a day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages. To John's audience, this was shocking. A full day's work would barely buy enough food for one person. This wasn't simply a famine. It was economic collapse. The scales symbolized more than measuring grain. They represent scarcity, inflation, a world where survival becomes more difficult with each passing day. And history shows us that famine rarely comes alone. It usually follows war. Fields are destroyed. Trade collapses. Food becomes precious. The chain continues exactly as Revelation describes. Then the 4th seal is opened. Out rides the most terrifying figure of them all. A pale horse. The original Greek word doesn't simply mean pale. It describes the sickly green color of a decaying body. Its rider has a name: Death. Following close behind is Hades, the realm of the dead. Unlike the previous riders, Death doesn't need a weapon. War has already weakened nations. Famine has already weakened people. Disease and suffering now finish what the others began. Throughout history, people have looked at devastating events and asked the same question. During the Black Death, during the World Wars, during global pandemics, is this the Pale Horse? Perhaps that's why Revelation continues to feel so relevant. Every generation sees echoes of these riders. But here's where interpretations begin to differ. Some scholars believe the Four Horsemen describe events that took place during the Roman Empire shortly after John's lifetime. Others believe the horsemen represent forces that repeat throughout history whenever humanity embraces conquest, violence, greed, and destruction. Still, others believe none of these riders have truly appeared yet, that they will arrive during a future period of tribulation unlike anything the world has ever witnessed. Remarkably, Scripture leaves room for each of these discussions. Rather than satisfying every curiosity, Revelation invites believers to remain watchful, whether the horsemen have already ridden, whether they ride again throughout history, or whether they are still waiting beyond the horizon. Their message remains unchanged. Conquest gives birth to war. War leads to famine. Famine opens the door to death. One rider prepares the way for the next. Like falling dominoes, they reveal what happens when humanity chooses power over peace. Yet, the book of Revelation doesn't end with fear. Beyond the seals, beyond the trumpets, beyond the judgments, there is hope. A new heaven, a new earth. A king who returns not as a symbol of conquest, but as the rightful ruler who brings lasting justice and peace. Perhaps that is the greatest message hidden behind the Four Horsemen. They remind us that while darkness may ride across history for a time, it never has the final victory. But what do you think? Have the Four Horsemen already ridden through history? Or are they still waiting to appear? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring biblical mysteries, ancient history, and the hidden meanings behind Scripture, subscribe to Divine and Beyond for more journeys into the world's most fascinating biblical mysteries.